It's that time of year when colds and flus are all over the place. And biggest challenge is it seems that whenever you're away from home or you're traveling or something that takes you out of your normal comfort zone, that's the time we tend to get sick. It's also the time we tend to not have what we need on hand. So today I'm going to be showing you an amazing tea to help you not only get over your cold or flu faster, but also to feel better while you're doing it. And it's made with things that you can find at pretty much any local grocery store if you need to. So let's check it out. Right now the garden is pretty much completely dead. There's not much out here, but there are some herbs that are still doing okay. So I do have some dried in the house, but I'd prefer to use what's available out in the garden for as long as I can before it's completely buried under snow. And then I'll start using what I have dried in the house. The really good news though is that with this tea, you don't actually have to grow your own herbs. Everything is really readily available. You can find it at your local store. If you can't find fresh herbs at your local store, then you can just grab the seasoned packets if you have to. Now this is especially true if you're traveling, it's your only option. Obviously, a lot of things have been done to the herbs in the grocery store that are sold as seasoning, and they're not always the purest. So if you have an option, go to a place where they're selling medicinal herbs and get actual medicinal herbs. I'll give you guys a link to my favorite place to get medicinal herbs down in the description, but that would be at Farmhouse Teas. They carry all sorts of amazing herbs, including the ones that we're talking about today. So let's go see what we've got in the garden. Here we are at the sage patch, and you can see it's looking pretty sad, but there is plenty of sage here still. So we're just gonna go ahead and grab a little bit that is looking pretty good. We only need a nice healthy sprig for this of each one of these herbs. So just one little sprig, that'll do it. And the marjoram is still looking decent. There's little bits of it that's okay. Here's marjoram. If you don't have marjoram, you could go ahead and get oregano. That might be more available for you, but this is wonderful for colds and flus. And hey, if you're interested in what all of these ingredients do for cold and flus, check out the attached blog post that I have. I'll put a link for that in the description too. Okay, and then here we are at the thyme plant. We're just gonna grab a few little sprigs of thyme. That is plenty. We'll go check out the other ingredients that we need inside, but it's not very many more. So you can see that this is a really easy, simple tea to make with not a lot of strange ingredients. So easy, and it's so effective. All right, I have my kettle filled with water on to boil, and what we're looking for is 2 quarts of boiling water. So you wanna make sure you have a nice big kettle, a nice big pot. This is gonna make a lot of tea, but you're not gonna drink it all at once. You're gonna be able to reheat it throughout the day and make it once and drink it all day long. So this is a really nice way to go when you don't feel well, because you might not feel like getting up and down a bunch of times and making new stuff. So we have all of our fresh herbs here, and these are great. These are straight out of our organic garden, so I'm gonna put them right in. You don't have to wash them. I'm just gonna drop them right on in there. So let's talk about the other ingredients you're gonna need. I have a little bit of black peppercorn here. I'm just gonna put a nice solid pinch of it. I'd say that's about a teaspoon of black peppercorn. Then I have 2 cinnamon sticks. Cinnamon comes in 2 different forms. We've got cassia cinnamon and Ceylon cinnamon. And either of them will work for this, but the cassia is really what you're looking for this particular recipe. So drop those right on in there. This tea is so good for reducing inflammation all the way in your throat, in your sinus tract, even down in your lung, while directly fighting the virus. Now I've got some fresh ginger, and I'm gonna grate up about 2 tablespoons of fresh ginger. As long as it's nice and clean, you don't have to worry about peeling it. It's absolutely fine if it's non-peeled. There we go. And we're gonna put this right on into our jar. I just have a nice organic lemon here. I'm gonna cut this in half, and then I'm gonna slice one of the halves. And rind and all, I'm gonna toss that right on in here. Now I have one more ingredient that we need to go grab from the pantry. Let's go. Every year I like to grow my own cayenne peppers, but they're rarely ready in the garden by the time it's time to harvest before our first frost because we're in such a far north area. But if I take the whole plant and I hang them upside down in this cool pantry, I'm able to extend their life for a long time. This is actually still fresh. It's not even completely dehydrated. And they just keep ripening over time in here. So even though these all were green when we hung them up about a month and a half ago, they continue to ripen and I can just come and pull from them whenever I want. So I love getting to do this. Cayenne is amazing when you're sick, but this is an optional ingredient. You don't have to use it. And you can replace it with any other hot pepper that you have. So if you have some jalapenos laying around, throw those in there or whatever it is that you have. If you're giving this to children, you may want to skip this altogether. If you don't have access to full peppers, whole peppers, you can use crushed red pepper. Again, the seasoning that you could buy at the store will do in a pinch. And just use a tiny little pinch of that because a little bit's gonna go a long way. I got 2 of these peppers. I'm just gonna cut them in half and toss them all the way in and know that this could be pretty spicy. Again, reduce it as you want for your tea. The kettle has come to a complete boil, so we're ready to go ahead and just pour the water right on over. Okay, now something that's really important is making sure that you cover your tea while it's brewing. That's because right now it's steaming really strongly, and as it's steaming, it's taking some of the important volatile oils that are inside the herbs themselves, and it's steaming them right out into the atmosphere, and you don't want that to happen. You want those inside your body when you go to drink your tea, so make sure you cover your tea. Did you guys know that I have a complete training on how to start using herbal medicine in your own home? It's a free 4-part video series, and I'd love to invite you to join it. So I'm gonna put the link below. In it, we really talk about how to use herbs, how to make sure they're safe, and the right herb for your family, not just for you, especially if you have any concerns with young people or older people or people on medication. We really go into that. We also talk about how to make a really great, simple remedy that's going to help you out a lot. So check out that free series. I'll put the link right below. So right now, we're ready to let this steep for about 5 minutes, and then we'll be ready to take the next step. This has been brewing for about 5 minutes now, and it's ready to start using. But remember, we made this as a concentrate, so we're not going to strain all the herbs out. In fact, this is still really hot, so it's still actively brewing. It's gonna get stronger and stronger, and that is okay. We're gonna leave those herbs in there, and we're gonna let this come down to room temperature naturally. After it gets to room temperature, you can stick the whole thing into the refrigerator. But at the 5-minute mark, you can start using it. We're actually gonna drink this with 50% of this and 50% hot water. Especially if you've let this cool down a little bit, you want to reheat it. It is very important to consume this hot. You want it pretty much as hot as you can stand it without burning yourself. If you are giving this to a child, again, make sure you let it cool down a little bit more. Make sure they're not gonna burn themselves, remembering that their mouth and their taste buds are often much more sensitive than our adult taste buds are. All right, those cayenne peppers are sitting right at the top, and oh my goodness, you guys. This is so aromatic. It's so herbally, but lemon, ginger, spicy, like it all just is kind of coming out right at me. So we wanna go ahead and strain off just a little bit as we're getting this into our pot to reheat it. Now remember, this is really hot, so you may wanna go ahead and use an oven mitt for this. Recover it with your lid. Remember, it's still steaming. We don't want to lose too much. But right now we want to go ahead and season this up, give it its final seasoning. I'm going to take the other half of that lemon, and I'm going to just put about a teaspoon or 2 of fresh lemon juice right on into there. I have an organic orange here that's been well washed, and I'm just gonna zest a little bit of that right on, and oh, that smells so good. As soon as that zest comes through, oh, it's just amazing. This is just a microplane. You could use whatever kitchen tool you have to get the zest off of this, and just get a little of that right in there. And of course, when it comes to medicinal teas, especially if you have a cold, that upper respiratory cold, or the flu with the upper respiratory and lower respiratory stuff, you really want to get some honey in there. Honey is just so good. Not only is good raw honey antimicrobial in a really strong way, but it's also very, very soothing to the mucous membranes that it comes in contact with. So you want to get quite a bit of honey in there. And it's great to put it in right now when it's nice and hot. And by quite a bit, you can go by taste. You know, you certainly don't want to be choking on the sweetness, but it is great to get it pretty sweet for this particular application. We're gonna stir this up and get it onto the stove and bring it up to really nice and hot. Now, obviously, this was just freshly steamed, so it's already really warm. In fact, I don't even know if I could drink it quite at this level. So I'm gonna call it warm enough. But if you had let this cool down at all, let's say it's your second cup or third cup, then you're gonna wanna go ahead and heat this up and get it really hot. This one, I'm gonna call good. So I'm gonna put this right on into my cup. And I want about half of my cup, yep, that's a mess. Half of my cupful of this concentrate, and then I want to fill the other half with my hot water. Now again, this was boiling just 5 minutes ago, so I know it's plenty hot for me, but if I was making this fresh, I would have that kettle on and reheating. All right, now our tea is completely ready. Your job is to go to bed, to get under a bunch of blankets, to get really warm, and to drink your tea as hot as you can and stay in bed and rest. You can drink this entire half gallon in one day. This would be great for you. Enjoy. You're gonna feel so much better after you have this. Hey, and you guys don't forget to grab your link and sign up and watch that free training on starting to be your own family's herbalist. Again, that link's in the description. I hope to see you over there. Feel well.